Hi guys, and welcome to our second Millers Matters podcast. We're joined today by Hudson Grix. Hudson's going to be talking to us today about his gender identity journey and the positive and negative experiences that he's had. So, welcome to New York Stadium, Hudson. Have you been here before?
I've not actually. I'm a Leeds fan, so.
You're a what? A Leeds fan. Yeah, and I think we best cut the film in right now. No, welcome to the stadium. Obviously, we would be filming this in different circumstances, but with what's going on and with everything at the minute, we thought we'd invite you to the stadium and do a little bit of an outdoor interview. So it is pretty cold, so we'll crack on. So today, for me, this is a really important podcast because I think we're going to be talking about, a key issue at the minute. And I think hopefully after this podcast, a lot of people will be a little bit more educated and hopefully we'll reach out to a few people that might be going through a similar thing to what you've gone through. Mm-hmm. So I think it might be worth you, first of all, introducing yourself, telling us a little bit about yourself.
Alright, so I'm Hudson, I'm 25 and I'm a barista.
A barista?
A barista.
Oh, where do you work?
Costa, actually.
Wow, a little bit of promo for Costa. Ant, who's filming, knows that I love a good Costa coffee, so do you think you can sort me out with some discount? Or
I'll try.
How do you find it? Do you like it? Do you enjoy working?
I do, yeah, I do. I enjoy it. I've been there about a year now. So yeah, it's good fun. It'll be much more fun when all this COVID stuff's over with. But
absolutely, and are they a good employer as well to work for?
Yeah, yeah, they're very
supportive.
They're very good. They've been good through the whole thing, to be honest.
Great, that's good to hear. So a big shout out to Costa Coffee for being a good employer and very supportive. Okay, so let's just fire away straight away and let's get into the nitty gritty, if you like, of the podcast. So I guess my first question to you is, when did you question your identity? When did you start to question your gender identity, Hudson?
I think I first started to when I was at uni. So when I went to university, I joined the LGBT society there. I just wanted to sort of hang around some people with common interests, should we say. So I joined that, and then obviously I knew that trans people existed before that, but all I'd really seen or heard was just maybe a few documentaries, but other than that was it. So I then learned about different gender identities. I heard people speak about their gender identity and things like that, so I became much more educated on the subject through that, and I think that was really important in terms of support while I was at uni. I think the society really helped me.
Yeah, so I mean that was the first thing I was just about to say. So it's really good to know that we're in 2021 now, and that there is actually support groups out there for people that might be questioning their gender or their sexuality or anything around kind of LGBTQ stuff. So you're saying that you went to uni and there was that kind of support group set up there, and that's when you started to learn and listen to other people's stories. Yeah. And then did you identify with it like a certain individual or story?
Yeah, so there was someone within the society that was trans, and they were non-binary, and they were talking about how they felt and their gender dysphoria, so like the discomfort that they felt. And that was when I sort of began to look into things a bit more, research things, because some of their story, it resonated with me and I connected with it, so I just wanted to explore it a bit more because it sort of hit home a bit, and I wanted to figure myself out, basically. So I started sort of researching into gender dysphoria, what that was.
Do you mind sharing with the listeners what gender dysphoria means, just so that maybe people can understand that a little bit more?
It's just the sort of disconnect that you feel between your body and how you're perceived,
Okay.
and how you actually feel, basically. So yeah, it tends to be associated with those sort of feelings, and the negative feelings that may come because of that.
Okay, thank you. And you also mentioned another kind of term, non-binary. Again, like a little bit of an explanation as to what that means, because I feel like there's and I'm obviously part of the LGBT community, and I feel like even me, who should be quite clued up with terms and labels, etc. That there's still quite that there seems to be a whole bunch of new words that are out there at the minute, and I know that non-binary is one of them. So what kind of is your interpretation of non-binary?
So non-binary is an umbrella term for anything outside of the binary. So the binary is man, woman, and then anything that's outside that binary is non-binary. So it's an umbrella term for all these different kind of identities that come underneath that.
Okay, lovely. Thanks for that. So just to recap, you went to uni, got involved with a support group, started to identify with certain elements from people's stories, and went away and researched it a lot. How were you feeling at this time? Was this something that just not sprung on you when you went to uni, but is this the first time at university age when you started to really question things, or was there a period before maybe?
It's the first time I questioned things, but it's not the first time that I felt dysphoria, gender dysphoria, but I just didn't know what it meant before that. So I sort of, earlier to that stage, I always felt uncomfortable with like my hips, my chest, like things that I gendered by society, and I sort of always wanted to wear baggy clothes. I wanted to hide because I weren't comfortable with those things, but I didn't realise what it meant, or why I might be feeling that. I didn't realise that wasn't how everyone felt, which it might sound silly, but I just didn't think of it. I sort of just pushed it to the back of my mind because I didn't know what it meant. And then when things started to click into place, I researched it more. YouTube really helped me. I found a lot of trans people via YouTube speaking about their experiences, so I got to listen to a lot of different experiences, because gender dysphoria is actually very particular to the individual. Some people feel it about certain things and not other things. Like, you can feel it about, some person might feel it about the voice, another person might not. So yeah, it just really depends on each person. And so that first person story that I listened to at university in that society, I clicked with little bits of it, but not everything. So that helps me to sort of explore it more, and until it eventually just clicked. And that was not until after uni, because I did a 4-year uni course, and it weren't until the year after that everything clicked, and I knew for definite that I was trans.
Okay, so when was the turning point for you then? When was the moment that you felt like you needed to do something about it, I guess?
In that year after I finished uni, obviously I'd been questioning, I'd been researching, and sort of just trying to figure out what I felt and what it might mean and what I could do about it. So yeah, I think once I realised, I then looked more into what I can do about it, and the routes in terms of hormones and what I had to do there. So I went privately with that. I think it took 6 months privately from when I first began the whole process to getting hormones.
So was there a reason why, if you don't mind me asking, why you went privately? Did you not? Yeah.
It was just because with the NHS, the waiting times are so long. The gender clinics, they've had a massive increase of people going to them, and they've been classed as a specialist service, so there's just not that support there in place that's needed. There's not the, they can't see everyone in time, basically.
Yeah.
The wait for, I've been waiting for 2 years now for the NHS.
Just for an initial appointment?
Yeah, just an initial appointment. So like that's not to get anything, that's just the initial appointment, which could just be a phone call.
Wow.
So yeah, and I've heard it could be years then until you can actually get hormones. So for me, like, it wasn't an option. So I went with a private clinic, and yeah, I started hormones. So I've been on them for like 1.5 years now.
Wow.
And then 10 months ago I had top surgery, so surgery on my chest, and that I went privately, as well, which is difficult. It's not cheap, and especially the surgery. Luckily they have finance options, so I was able to go through that route because the average cost for the surgery is like 7.5 grand.
Wow.
And then when it comes to
it can be
anything
done on
else,
the NHS.
yeah, it can be done on the NHS, but you can be waiting a long time. Like I say, it could be years just to an initial appointment, and then it can be years after that till you get anything done.
So when we're talking about the process and how long it takes, etc., your transitions obviously, and your contact with services has been a little bit quicker than somebody, I guess, that's waiting for the NHS.
Yeah.
And my thoughts have immediately gone to what distress that must cause somebody, you know, to have to wait that length of period of time before they even get an initial appointment. And I can imagine, you know, it's not a very nice place to be. Was the, you know, for you, how did you find it, or how are you still finding it?
Yeah, it was definitely a big struggle. Probably the worst I've been mentally is at that point. Like I say, when I did realise, because then everything that I felt was more heightened because I knew what it was, and what it meant. And I've always struggled with anxiety and stuff, so at the time I was having several panic attacks a week. My moods were really low, so they put me on antidepressants, and that helped it. But if it weren't for that, I don't know how I would have continued, and I would have functioned, because I couldn't even make it to work. I had to go in sick, and then luckily I've ended up with the job that I've got now after that. Yeah, so the meds really helped with that, but obviously a lot of people don't have that support, or might still be struggling even with medication. I'm lucky that it helped me, but also what helped was getting the hormones. Once I got the hormones, that helped my anxiety as well, because I wasn't thinking about it all the time, like, I need to get hormones, I need to get hormones. Like, it wasn't constantly something playing on my mind. It was like one less thing for me to worry about and ruminate on, whereas obviously someone who's not got that, they don't have the funds, they can't get it, and it is a long wait. And I think it's horrible to ask that of someone, to wait that time. You know, the NHS waiting times are supposed to be 18 months.
Right.
It's a lot longer than that. It can be 4 years plus in some places and parts of the country, just for an initial appointment. So I think it's really, it's awful. It's inhumane in a way to put someone through that.
Absolutely.
Obviously, you know, the NHS mental health services are difficult as well.
Yeah.
And they've got a whole wait time of their own.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot strange.
So other than medication then, is there, you know, we know that mental health services are in demand at the minute.
Yeah.
You've just told us obviously that also, you know, when you're looking into things around gender identity, waiting lists are massive. Is there anything that helped you, you know, what you could do for yourself, or any, you know, I know that you've, I'm lucky enough to know your family, and I know that your family have been great through this and have been a real support. I also know that you've got a really supportive fiance now as well. Yeah. you know, how was that? How was the support from friends and family, and how much of a difference did that make?
It was really good. Like, they were brilliant. All it was in the beginning was just a sort of them getting used to new pronouns and then new name and things like that. So it was just sort of a learning process for them, and they just wanted to understand how I felt, and making sure I knew that this was definitely something that I wanted. I think that was a concern for them in the beginning, but obviously with things like this, by the time you come to telling your family, you've already gone through this whole process. So like, I'd gone through years of all of that questioning and then everything clicking before they found out. So that's the first they hear of it. So for them it sounds like something's just all of a sudden come about, but when it's not the case. But it was my fiance who I first told. I told her throughout the whole process.
And Fabia's been there, hasn't she, through the whole process?
Yeah.
Through when you very first started questioning your identity, right through to you're still together today.
Yeah.
And planning on getting married. So talk to us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So like, I was open from the beginning about how I felt, questioning the whole thing. And yeah, we just had very open conversations at every stage, and she was just very supportive the whole way through.
She sounds incredible.
Yeah, she is, yeah. She helped me figure out my pronouns that I like to use. You know, I was trying different pronouns out, I was trying different names. She was there to help me through that, and help me when things were tough. So yeah, she was a great support through that whole thing.
Yeah, and your mum as well. I remember, because obviously I know you guys personally on a personal level. I remember your mum putting out a statement of some sort on Facebook. You know, asking people to respect the chosen pronouns that you wanted to use, and you know, I think putting something out there along the lines of, you know, if she's your mum, and you know, if she can do that, then other people can as well. And I remember seeing that status. I think I told you about it the other day when we caught up, and thinking, wow, what an unbelievable woman. You know, that must have made things a lot easier for you, having that support from family and from Fabs and from friends as well. So
it did, yeah, and I'm also very lucky in that respect. It's not always obviously that easy for everyone, so it definitely does help, obviously, having that support. And I guess if people have not got, or they don't feel confident enough to speak to family and friends, then there are other groups, support groups out there. Like obviously your first contact was with the group at university. I know that Rotherham's got, it's not trans specific, but it's got a group called the Rainbow Group, which is like an LGBT support group. So that might be a first point of call. But did you find that like being involved in those support groups had helped as well then? Definitely. When I was at uni, that group helped me in so many ways, just to grow and be with other people that understood me, and just sort of without question. And yeah, I've been part of other sport groups as well. I've been to a few in Leeds. They've got a trans sport group, they've got a non-binary sport group. And yeah, that just really helps being around like-minded people, and just people who understand, because it's a difficult thing to understand if you've not felt that way in some way. It's a hard thing to get your head around. So yeah, it's definitely helpful, and I definitely encourage people to go to those.
And I've also noticed, because I follow Hudson on Instagram, that you've been working out a lot recently. And do you want to tell us a little bit more about your PT and how that's helped as well? Because I think that's probably helped with the whole process.
So my PT is called Evan. So he's got an Instagram account, and he does PTing online, so he can do online PT sessions, he does plans and nutrition and all that sort of thing, and it's aimed at LGBT community. It's called Pack Pride Fitness.
Yeah, so shout out to Pack Pride Fitness, give him a follow, and he's trans himself, right?
Yeah, yes,
and his business is specifically targeting and working with and helping LGBT plus community with their fitness goals.
Yeah.
Okay, and so that's helped. And do you still play rugby? So I remember years ago, and it must be, God, 8 years at least when I last saw you, and you was big into your rugby. Are you still doing that?
No, I'm not, unfortunately. So I got a slipped disc when I was like 19, so I stopped playing for a while. And then since then, it's got a bit better more recently, but it's difficult to get back into things like sports, because there are specific teams that are targeted at LGBT individuals. My nearest one is Leeds, and I'm in Halifax, so it's a bit of a journey. I don't drive or anything, so I haven't had the chance to go there. And then if I were to join another team, it's a whole thing of, will people be accepting, and am I going to have facilities, like where am I going to change, where am I going to shower, like all that sort of thing. It makes it more difficult. And then there's the fact of the rules. Everywhere has different rules. I know in terms of rugby, they've changed them recently. So.
Oh, they have in terms of rugby. So
yeah, I know. Like at least a couple of years ago, they were changing the policy regards trans people, but it was more focused on trans women. But when it comes to that, I just think, like, obviously if you're checking hormone levels, then do you not have to check everyone? And then like it becomes this whole thing of, look, you've got to check, if you check trans people, you've got to check people that aren't trans, and then does everyone have to be at a certain hormone level? It's just...
So is that what, sorry, I'm a bit oblivious, is that what they do then? They check your hormone levels and you have to be at a certain amount to qualify, if you like?
In some professional sports, yes. That, with the whole Caster Semenya thing, that, I don't know if you heard about that, that was a big thing at the time. So she's not trans or anything, but she had a higher testosterone level, so they made her take hormones to lower that and higher her estrogen, and they said she couldn't compete unless she did this, and she fought against it, and I think she won actually, but then they've gone back on it again. So it's this whole thing, like it makes it more difficult. Like it's discrimination at the end of the day. Like you're saying that, oh, this has to be there, and people are focusing on trans people when there's cis people like Caster Semenya, cis is non-trans, who aren't trans, but then it's making it difficult for her. So like, it's hard, and...
Do you think then that's where there's a real downfall in sport, in terms of inclusivity?
Yeah, because like everyone, I believe everyone should have the access to sport.
Absolutely,
like,
yeah. I think it's probably something that we take for granted as well, the fact that we can just turn up to, a football team or a rugby team, and it's just easy to be accepted. You probably get judged on your ability, but that's about it. Whereas, it's a whole really complex procedure, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's something that I miss a lot. I miss being involved in sports.
That's really sad.
Yeah, and that's another thing, like sports massively helps your mental health, and you can't get involved in that, and it's always been a big part of my life, and it's something that's missing.
What position did you play in rugby?
In rugby, I was centre.
Right, so if there's any rugby teams out there that are missing a centre, sign Hudson up. This guy is looking for a rugby team. Were you any good?
Yeah, I very quickly got into the Yorkshire team, and then I played for them at the same time as my club team, so I played for both. But all in all, I played like a couple of years in the Yorkshire team, and then like a year by the time I started playing, so once I turned 18, formed a club team. and then I got a slip disc. I had a lot of that time out as well when I broke my hands too. So like, all in all, I didn't play for that long. And then injury.
And is it something you really miss today? Then is it
Yeah.
Do you think if you could be back involved in rugby, you would be?
Definitely, I'd like to give it a go. See how my back goes and everything.
Well,
but I find it's definitely a lot better now than it was, and keeping active definitely helps it. So I'd like to definitely give it a go, see how I went anyway.
Well, you'll have to keep us updated. Let me know if you find anywhere, and maybe we can do a part 2, and we'll come and revisit you and check in and see whether you've found a rugby team. And
Sounds good.
Yeah. So what does the future hold for Hudson, and what things do you feel like you've still got left to go through?
In general, like in transition lines.
Well, both. In transition wise, let's start there first. Like.
To hopefully getting seen by the NHS sometime soon. I think it was supposed to be around this like December time that I was supposed to be seen, but I think probably there's delays and stuff with COVID. And waiting times change and stuff. So hopefully within this next year I'll get seen by them, and I won't have to pay for my hormones anymore, because that's a financial strain. I have to pay for them every month, and blood tests are really expensive. So yeah, hopefully I'll get that sorted. I'll get seen by them. Potentially more surgery later down the line. And then hopefully get to I work part-time at the moment, so hopefully work a bit more full-time maybe, and hopefully work towards getting my own place and moving out. I'm living with my fiance and her parents at the moment, so hopefully get my own place, maybe with dogs.
Well, in terms of work moving forward and stuff, we would love to involve you more in some stuff that we do in the community. As part of the inclusion department, we focus a lot on trying to squash stereotypes and educate people around different issues, different topics, and it would be great to have somebody like yourself be involved in that and help us, deliver those messages, even if it's not yourself that's kind of delivering them, but just a bit of input and guidance to make sure that we are getting across the right information and stuff. So I really look forward to working with you in the future.
Yeah, me too.
If you'd like that, so that's good. And good luck with everything with the NHS. And also, congratulations. I think I touched on it earlier, but congratulations on the engagement.
Thank you.
Okay, so just to kind of finish off then, I just want to make sure we've not missed anything. We have got a couple of questions from the public. I think you've covered most of them in your interview, but one that I think maybe we could delve a little bit deeper in is somebody's asking, if somebody was questioning their gender identity, what are the steps that they'd need to take, and what is the transition process? So I know you've vaguely kind of touched on this, but do you want to just explain a little bit more about the process?
It depends obviously on the person. Some people don't transition medically, some people do, some people want different things, so it depends on the person, but so if you're a young person and you are wanting to access the gender clinics, obviously they've got all the wait times and stuff, so it depends on the clinic and what the times are at that point, but the waiting lists are long, and then if someone's under 18 they can't access hormones yet, so what it would do is they have the option to go on hormone blockers, so they take those to delay their puberty, or sort of stop it until they're ready to make the decision once they're 18 if they want to have hormones or not.
So you have to wait till you're 18 before you can actually access having hormones?
Yes, that's right. And then obviously there's a whole other way then, and that's that process. And then, yeah, like I said, wait times for surgery as well, they're a long process, and also you have to obviously be over 18 for that too. Yeah, so it's a very long process.
Yeah, no, it does.
Whichever way you go about it, and whatever you
it
want
does
to do,
sound
it's a long
quite
process.
a lengthy process. And once you're having hormones, is that, do you just have like you know, like a prescription for so many months, or is this like a lifetime thing? Do you have to continually have hormones?
It's a lifetime thing. You have to take them forever. So there's different ways of taking them. You can have gel and injections. I'm on the gel, so I have a gel. I was saying to you earlier, it's a bit like hand sanitizer.
Very relevant.
And you just put it on your arms. I just put it on top of my arms. And
Right, okay.
every day I have to put that on every day, and then yeah, that's it. And then, or
So
you
that's-
have an injection.
Ah, right, okay. So you can either, see, I never knew this. Again, learning things every day. So you can either have the injections or apply like a gel.
A gel, yeah. I think there's patches as well. You can also get patches.
Right.
So just like a patch here.
Yeah. And therefore, and you have to continue. You have to have them. Is it like so every day with the gel for the, the
So
rest of your
I
life?
have them
or?
every day. Yeah, I have like a monthly prescription, and then yeah, every day. I think for injections, it's either every week or every 3 weeks. There might be some that are longer as well, in different places as well. I think in America they might have different injections and stuff, different medications. So yeah, but they tend to be sort of more spaced between the injections, and they're just sort of, your dose is level if you're on a gel, whereas if you're on injections, there's a peak and a trough.
Right.
That can complicate things,
And affect your mood and
things.
things.
Yeah.
And you know, I do follow you on Instagram, and I have kept up with your updates of your progression, I guess, whilst you've been on testosterone. I think you do one every month or every couple of months. When would somebody expect to see a difference after they've first started?
So it depends on each person. Like, it depends on your genetics at the end of the day. So some people, things will happen really quick. Some people, it'll be slower. It's the same with cis people.
Yeah.
Like if you're a cis guy, some cis guys can grow a beard, other ones it's patchy. Like it's the same with us. Like it's all down to your genetics at the end of the day. But I have on like all my social media updated in the beginning, like how things were progressing, just so people know, because it's hard to access that information, and it's important to know what's happening with your own body, you know. So yeah, it's good. I've got that out there. People can see sort of when they might expect changes, but yeah, it is different for everyone.
Okay, that's really interesting. So, just to round up, because it's absolutely freezing here at the New York Stadium, it's just turned really cold, and I want to go take you for a coffee to warm up. Do you have any? So I'm imagining that there's going to be quite a few people that are interested in listening to this podcast, and if you had any kind of advice to give someone, or any supportive messages, like what would you say to anybody that's maybe listening and questioning their identity?
Let me look like what I know. Sort of what I wanted to say at this point, because for me, like, this bit is important.
That's really cute that you've got a little list of key things, because I know, speaking to you before this interview, you said, the main thing for you today is this part, and I know it means a lot to you. So
yeah, I just wanted to say, really, just to be yourself authentically, like whatever that means for you, and don't pay attention to what anyone else thinks about it, because at the end of the day, your identity is yours, and it's only you who can say how you feel at the end of the day. So no one can tell you, like, this is right, this is wrong, you have to do this, you have to be this. even within the trans and the LGBT communities, like there are people who are not going to agree with you, and they're going to say there's one way to be trans, and you know that's the only way, and you have to have dysphoria, or you have to be binary, you can't be non-binary. You know, there's people that are going to say those kind of things, but just focus on you and what makes you feel good and what helps you to feel better within yourself and feel better mentally and live the best life you can, basically.
Thank you. And thank you very much for travelling here today to have this interview. It has been years since I've seen you, and it's been lovely. I think we just wanted to finish off by saying as well that Rotherham United are actually a hate crime reporting centre. So if you have been discriminated against because of your gender identity, or you know somebody that has, or even if you've witnessed somebody being discriminated against because of their gender identity, you can actually report it to us if you don't feel confident in reporting it yourself. It is actually a hate crime, so it's a protected characteristic, is gender identity. So if you need some support with reporting that, please do get in touch with us. We are a third party reporting centre, and the details are here on screen now. And yeah, just thank you very much, and hopefully we'll have a part 2.
Yeah, maybe when it's less cold.
Yeah, in the summertime.